I love this episode. I love this episode with a burning passion. This episode teaches something that a lot of media in today's world doesn't teach. This episode manages to do something that a lot of people don't seem to give it credit for. And today, that's going to change. What is up, everybody? My name is The Pretty Ugly Truth, and today I'm going over one of my favorite episodes of The Amazing World of Gumball. In the episode titled The Parasite, it seems that Anais made a new friend. However, after Gumball and Darwin decide to snoop inside of Anais' diary, it turns out that it seems like she's being bullied. But Anais, being a young child, she doesn't seem to realize it. What I find to be absolutely hilarious is that throughout this whole scenario inside the boys' heads, they have this weird fixated image of what they believe the girl looks like. And when they go to school, they believe they found her, only for it to turn out that this isn't the right girl. This in itself is a lesson about prejudice, because in their heads this is what the girl looked like, and they ended up hurting this innocent person. Of course, without taking any responsibility, they simply just leave her there. This is kind of a good example of what happens when you just assume things, and the episode isn't done there. Gumball then tries to show Anais that parasites are wrong to hang around. However, she calls him out by saying that he is also a parasite. And it's funny because he is literally being a parasite to Darwin as we speak. The boys decide that the best way to get rid of Jody is by simply pretending to be Anais, calling Jody, and saying that she doesn't want to be her friend anymore because she's so awful. Anais and Jody have both fused into a giant parasitic creature. The boys deem that Jody is the one who caused this and decide to attack. They manage to get this amalgamation to the infirmary, where the nurse confirms that yes, there is a parasite, but it was Anais who was the parasite. She simply refused to let Jody go, even though she simply wanted a pen. Everything has now finally come to light. It turns out everything the boys thought was happening turned out to be the complete opposite. Anais was actually forcing these things on Jody when all she wanted was the pen. Yes, Anais had good intentions, but that doesn't take away from the fact that Jody didn't want these things. Therefore, this caused a toxic relationship. Finally, I show why I love this episode. It shows something that a lot of shows don't show. It showed us that love can be a toxic thing. The boys had good intentions to look after their little sister. However, due to their prejudice, they didn't see that she was actually the predator, not the victim, and they were actually hurting the victim. Even though the boys have good intentions in order to help Anais, they end up hurting her throughout the episode. It gets to the point where they almost poison her with a sandwich, or themselves. I wouldn't really call this luckily, but it seems that Richard was the one who consumed the sandwich. If he was the one who helped concoct this, as the adult, I'd say this is pretty well deserved. Now, Anais also had good intentions because she just wanted to be friends with Jody. However, you can't force relationships on people if they don't want to be a part of them. If you force something on somebody, no matter if you're trying to take something from somebody or if you're trying to force something on somebody, forcing anything away or on somebody is toxic and parasitic. Now, understand why Anais did what she did. I'm not saying she was right. In fact, I made this video to show how she was wrong. However, she's a small child in middle school. Everyone else in the class is most likely matured, as she is probably very lonely. Jody asking for the pen was probably a door to her in order to make a new friend, and she broke down the door and just never let go. I know it's very difficult for her to make friends, but it doesn't take away from the fact that she was wrong. The boys were wrong for being overprotective, and she was wrong to try to force a relationship on somebody. I understand that she is a child and that she has a difficult time making friends, but this wasn't the way to do it. And that's all for this video. The main thing that I like about it is that it shows that even though they're trying to do the right thing, they're doing it in some of the most toxic ways possible. It's also quite entertaining to see how they do it, But as long as it remains in the show and no one actually replicates these behaviors, it's perfectly fine. And this is just a little nitpick. Out of all the designs, I think I'm happy that they picked the duck, because some of these designs are just no.